Welcome to the Superabound podcast, where vision-led entrepreneurs learn to build a generous business without sacrificing what matters most. You are listening to episode 322, Stop Leaking Energy as a Business Owner. Hello and welcome to this week's episode of the podcast. My name is Erin Aquin, and it's just me today, and I wanted to talk to you about the idea of leaking energy. So if you are listening to this episode around when it is released, we are right smack dab in the middle of our 28-day sustaining rituals challenge. And we decided to keep this open, make it free, and really use this time whenever you choose to join it to support you to dive really deep into one aspect of what Steve and I call the tending triad. This is really a way for you to support yourself with amazing fuel during the challenge. If you have not signed up for that yet, you can jump in and start the challenge right now over at besuperabound.com/rituals. This is our gift to you, and this is really actually a gift that you're giving yourself by participating. And even though the focus has really been on the idea of the sustaining rituals, the fuel for your fire, I want to talk today about another aspect of the tending triad that we have touched on before around boundaries, around personal filter, because this has come up a lot for folks who are trying to do more personal self-care. And I know that for business owners and for leaders, you're in charge of a lot. You're responsible for a lot of people. You want to have a lasting impact in the world. And because of that, it can so often feel like you're being pulled in a million different directions. And while sustaining rituals are meant to support you, if you turn around and leak all of the energy that you have just created for yourself, if you maybe spend the time each day to take care of your mental, physical, emotional, relational well-being, but then you turn right around and start saying yes to things that are not aligned with your vision, all the hard work you're doing to support yourself is kind of going to waste. So I do want to talk about sustaining rituals, but I want to do it in the context of why it is also so important that you have a strong personal filter. A lot of people are probably counting on you. A lot of people have high expectations of you. There are probably things that you can do, and you look at probably your task list and think, I could just do that myself faster than I could pay someone else to do it. I don't want to have to train people. I don't want to have to delegate. I don't want to have to say no. But personal filter, the idea, the way I kind of think about it in my own mind, is it's like an energetic mosquito net that allows in fresh air. It allows in light, but it keeps out the little bloodsuckers, the little mosquitoes, the things that tap your energy, that take away from you, that frustrate you, that itch at you. And I think a mosquito net is a really great way to think about it, because so often the thing that depletes us is not a major thing. Yes, of course, there can be major life upheavals. There can be things that drain your energy in an instant. Those definitely happen. But over the years of coaching a lot of entrepreneurs who've gone through big life upsets and big major changes, the ones who have been taking really good care of themselves through regular sustaining practices often have a capacity to hold the big, tough, hard moments. But those of us who don't tend to really protect ourselves from the little bites or the death by a million paper cuts, as some people will talk about, that is when we can get into trouble. Because if there's a major upset and all of these minor things have been slowly draining you, that is when burnout often happens. That is when people get overwhelmed and they just quit. So learning how to strengthen your personal filter is something that I think everyone needs to do. And I wish I could say that in this episode, I'm going to just give you the quick fix and the tool that's going to repair every little hole in your personal mosquito net. But this actually is often a longer term process. This is something that I personally have only ever been able to do for myself with really deep, specific work with my own coaches, with my own mentors. I think it's probably true that it can be done on your own. I understand a lot of people like to try to figure these things out on their own, but my philosophy is that life is too short and too weird, and business is just too hard to have to figure out all of these things on your own. I became a coach because I wanted to really help people fast track their own personal vision. I wanted to help people actually realize the life the universe is dreaming for them. As we often say, that is my vision. And that is the reason I do the work that I do. So I wish I could tell you that I have the answer for how you're going to permanently stop leaking energy. But I think this is something that you and I can do together. If we were working together, this is something you can do if you have a really great person on your team. This is kind of healing work that requires a repatterning of often the way we are and the way we think. And I was reading a little bit of my last book before we wrote Superabound. The book I wrote was about relationships, and I have quite an extensive step-by-step process for having tough conversations and for, repairing relationships in the face of expectations that are not being met. I really take a deep dive into it. So if this is something that is happening in specific relationships, that book, Revitalize Your Relationship by Erin Aquin, that's me, is a great workbook to help you really think through where you're at. But I do want to give you a couple of ideas for how you can strengthen your own personal filter, how you can personally stop leaking all the energy that you're working so hard to create for yourself. The very first thing that you can do to strengthen your personal filter and stop leaking energy is very clearly define your vision and your values. It's always surprising to me how many business owners, how many leaders they can say the vision of their business, they can articulate some of the values that their business has, but they have a really hard time articulating their personal vision or values. Now, in my life, because I run my own business, my vision and my values are the same for both my business and my personal life. I know that is not the case for every single person out there, but the clue that I will give you when something is happening that is not aligned with your personal vision, your personal values, when it feels like you are leaking energy, that static is your first sign. And when it comes to other people, I was talking about this today on our connection call with a few folks. Resentment is one of our best friends. That might sound weird, but truly resentment is such a clear internal alarm bell that is telling you something is wrong. That you are giving more than you actually want to give, that you are accommodating something that you don't really want to accommodate, that you are not feeling respected perhaps, that you are not feeling that there's reciprocity, that you've agreed to something that you probably should have said no to. And the other piece about resentment, if you've been listening to this podcast for a long time, I've done many episodes on this particular topic. But the other thing about resentment is it's very hard to feel resentful when you are energized. I don't know anyone who has a strong inner flame that is fired up and is excited. I don't know anyone who is working from their highest vision, doing their sustaining rituals, has a strong personal filter that also feels resentful. Resentment is a warning sign that you are getting depleted. It is you overgiving often. It is you maybe agreeing to something that should have been a no. It is something that can only exist for most people. I mean, I could be wrong, but I've never met anyone who told me I was wrong about this. You only really ever feel resentment when you're run down, when you're not in alignment. And so that is why I love resentment. I think about resentment as like a really helpful friend. It's an advocate. That is a sign that your personal filter needs some work. And the way that you can work on it, I'll give you one simple tool. We can't fix all of it today, and I don't know your individual situation, but one of the easiest things that you can do starting today is when someone asks you to do something and your knee-jerk reaction is to say yes, because you like to say yes, or because you know you can get that thing done, because you know that you are a superhero and you can absolutely make that thing happen. Before you say anything, pause, take a breath, and say, can I get back to you on that? Can I get back to you? Can I let you know tomorrow? One of the habits we have to break if you are leaking energy is saying yes to things that possibly will take away your energy. You have to be willing to actually break the saying yes cycle, take a beat, and then get yourself to a quiet place. Get yourself to a place where you're not in the heat of the moment, feeling the pressure of someone's request, and feel it out. So some questions I like to ask when I'm taking a pause to think about whether I want to say yes to something that potentially could have me leaking energy, maybe isn't aligned. First of all, I like to ask the big question: does saying yes to this take me closer to my vision or further away? Closer to my next lantern or further away? That is usually all I have to know to tell me if it's a yes or a no to me. Another question is, why do I want to do this? Why would I want to do this? So sometimes I say yes to things that have nothing to do with my vision. They just sound fun. They sound like it'll be a good time. It'll be a fun experience. That is still valid. That is great. It has to have some kind of an effect that is in alignment or adding to your life. And that doesn't mean, I think sometimes people will say, well, that sounds very selfish, Erin. That sounds like you're only ever saying yes to things that are like good for you. And like, what about the world? Listen, we all, as entrepreneurs, as business owners, as leaders, I think for most of us, so much of what we do is about other people. If you're in a customer-facing business, like my day is spent helping people solve their problems. It is spent helping people make their lives, their businesses better, making their businesses better without losing themselves to burnout. And so in order for me to be able to be clean and clear and do that job, I also strive to be. I don't always succeed. I'm not a perfect person. I'm definitely not claiming that. But I do strive to live what I teach. And so the hours where I am not working, where I am not very clearly pursuing that next lantern or helping someone else pursue their lantern, because that's part of my lantern and that's part of my vision, on those hours, anything I do has to be in support of my energy. It has to be a sustaining ritual. It has to be nourishing. It has to be fun. It has to be enlivening. It has to be something that I can build upon, even when it's challenging. I talk a lot about doing tough workouts. That to me is a great way of extending my capacity, and it's not always fun, and it doesn't always feel nourishing, but it's something that is really good for it's great for my physical body, but it's also good for my mental growth. Doing something I never thought that was possible for me is a very good thing for me. So Leaking energy is when you are giving more than what you actually want to give or more than what you have. Sometimes we really want to give. Sometimes I know a lot of you have tremendous capacity. You can work 15 hours a day and feel amazing in the world. But you also need to make sure, ideally, that you are taking care of that precious energy. I don't want to be morbid, but the truth is we've had a lot of folks in our surrounding community lose people lately. A lot of people have passed away. We've had people get very sick. We've had just so many reminders of how short life is, how weird life can be, how unpredictable it all is. And I hope for you that you lay down at the end of every day, not only feeling like you gave your best to the world, but that you gave your best to yourself, that your loved ones got some time with you. They got to bask in your energy and that you had energy to be available. So healthy boundaries, healthy personal filter, all of that is very, very important. And if you know that you tend to be somebody who extends themselves to burnout, if you say yes to everyone and you try to please people, I'm not here to scold you. I totally get it. I know a lot of you, and I know how easy it is to do that. But you deserve the support. You deserve to have some of your own energy, and this is something that definitely private coaching can really help you with. So I just want to invite you to reach out to me if this sounds like I'm talking to you directly. You can email me, erin@besuperabound.com. You can reach out to me on Instagram @besuperabound. I want to hear from you. And if I can help you build that personal filter, I promise you all the growth, all the success, it really does follow, in my experience at least. When I started taking better care of me, that is when my business grew. When I've helped other people sort of burnout proof their businesses, when I've helped people create better strategies, feel more ease, create businesses that they can grow into without needing more of them and their energy and their time, it has been just some incredible work, and it's very successful because especially if you are in a business where you are the product, it's kind of, I'm not trying to commodify anybody, but like essentially time with you, if time with you is part of the product, having your energy be very full is something your clients and your customers can feel. So we have to take it seriously. We have to treat it like it's epic because it is. And I'm here to help. So feel free to reach out to me and come join us inside the challenge if you have not signed up already at besuperabound.com/rituals. And I'll talk to you again soon. Take care.